Welcome back to the Jello Jiggling podcast. I have a special guest on today from the Believe Network. He does the Fantasy NBA Today show. His name is Dan Besbris. I hope I didn't butcher that, Dan.
Killed it.
But you're officially my first guest, man.
This is
Officially
amazing.
My first guest.
I love being the first guest. I can really set the table with maximum weirdness and see if anybody can possibly follow.
Got Magic Johnson on next week, so I wish.
Well, then I appreciate you having me first, so I don't have to follow that.
Yeah. Well, let's jump right into this, man. So, D'Angelo Russell, he's about to pass one of my favorite Lakers ever in three-pointers for a season with, I think it's 183, which is that he's going to pass Nick Van Exel tomorrow, as long as he doesn't go into a total cold slump tomorrow against Philly. But did you ever watch Nick Van Exel?
Absolutely.
Growing up?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you told me beforehand that we were going to be talking about Nick the Quick. So that was.
Yeah.
I was born in 1983. I'm 40. I'm 40. I was a Dodger fan when I was a little kid. So like when I was 4, 5, little league, mom took me to Dodger games. We sat in those nosebleeds way up high. I didn't really get into basketball until I was like 10 or 11, which was right on the Nick Van Exel Lakers era. And I like to jokingly call it the Sedale Threet era. But
Anthony Peeler.
Yeah, exactly. But really, it was like the Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones group, which they were never amazing, but they were always pretty good.
They were entertaining.
They were so entertaining, and I had to go back and I was looking up some of the numbers because I was like, this is interesting stuff. Like, what year did Nick Van Exel set that record? How long did it take him to get there? Right. And he did it on 36% shooting, so he took a ton of three-pointers that year. I did not remember that.
Was it 94, 95? Is that the year?
Yes, 94, 95.
Think about three-point shooting back then. That was like
unheard of.
If you took too many threes, right? And too many threes is probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Not where it's like 10 is too many threes, right?
Yeah.
8.
And he was blasting away. And my brain has like no recollection that it was unusual or weird. Because if he did that now, nobody would even bat an eye. But it must have been, I'm sure adults were watching it like, what is this dude doing? And as a kid, I was just like, sweet.
He did a lot of crazy things to almost challenge himself. Remember at the free throw line, he used to step like a foot back.
Yeah.
To shoot free throws.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And everybody's like, "What the hell is he doing?" But he was an excellent free throw shooter, so it's like didn't matter. Who cares? Let him do what the hell he wants.
Yeah.
But he was so different. Like he was the first guy to shave the 2 things in the eyebrow, and he was kind of like a first for a lot of stuff. Like I think honestly, if he was in today's game, he'd be a superstar.
Oh yeah,
because he had that kind of game where he was just relentless offensively. Not the greatest defender, but is there any really great defenders in the NBA anymore?
Yeah, it was like 4. They're mostly not allowed to anyway. So
on one hand, yeah. But yeah, he was remarkable. I absolutely loved watching him, Jones, Cedric Wallace, Eldon Campbell.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget the stat because Chick talked about it all the time. That Eldon Campbell was I think the only player in NBA history who increased his scoring average every year for the first 7 years of his career. Why that stat stuck in my head as like a preteen, I'll never know. Although by the 7th year for him, I was probably in high school by then. So
that's probably when Shaq came in and like
and then all of a sudden that scoring average went off a cliff.
He's like, oh, then I just don't see the ball anymore.
I got to look this up now. I'm going to look it up while we're talking. But that stat on Eldon Campbell was like, oh, what a weird and interesting stat. I think it was between 1990, and 1996. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, what?
Next year? One thing that we used to say about him is, me and my buddies, we call him Batman Neck. because he was always like this, right? He couldn't move his neck.
He did look like he had weird neck mobility issues.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that was the Michael Keaton Batman, right? Where he just
couldn't move
without his whole body to turn. But he was great. He was really underrated. Totally underrated.
Yeah,
for what he was doing.
Those were fun times, man. That was my real introduction to becoming a Laker fan. And so it was always nice too, because when I was in high school, the Lakers got really, really good. That was then the beginning of the Shaq and Kobe stuff. And people were like, "Oh, you're a bandwagon fan." I was like, "Nah, dude. I sat through the before this where they were merely entertaining but not all that good. So, let me enjoy this moment." But it's amazing. So apologies for monologuing a little bit. I have fallen in love with D'Angelo Russell this year. So I feel like if anybody should be passing this record, it's perfect. You got another southpaw following Nick Van Exel. And I mean, this season that D'Lo's putting together, what's he up to now? 41, 42% from downtown? This is one of the best 3-point shooting years in the history of the Lakers franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at that level. I think the last time I checked, there was a few guys shooting over 40% from three. I think Rui's one of them. He doesn't take as many threes, obviously.
Right.
And I think Austin Reeves.
Is Austin above 40?
Wrong about that.
Yeah,
I don't know, because he's shot pretty poorly lately, so that might have dropped. But I thought he was above 40 at one point.
Yeah,
which doesn't surprise me.
I just I'm blown away at
how... LeBron too.
Oh yeah, LeBron. Yeah, Reeves is at 38 right now. My super fast browser tab action here. No, you're right. LeBron's having an amazing one too, but just the sheer volume that D'Lo's done it on, and he has these games where I don't know. I maybe I'm in the minority on this, but my two favorite things to watch on the Lakers right now are when Anthony Davis is going ham on defense, which I think is just incredibly entertaining because he takes a quadrant of the court, and then the other four guys struggle to deal with this sliver of court that they're responsible for. And D'Lo getting hot. Those two are the things. They're the reasons that I watch Laker games this year. Because when D'Lo gets hot and he's just looking one way and throwing it the other, and it's going in the basket, that reminds me a little bit of Kobe hot. I mean, no one's going to quite get to that level, but how many people in the NBA get to not Kobe hot? Because the answer is 0. But how many guys in the NBA? Maybe Devin Booker has hit Kobe hot a couple of times, but how many guys get to that D'Lo hot level? Very few. It's incredible.
It's probably only a handful, but Anthony Edwards came to mind right away.
Oh, he's amazing.
When that guy gets hot, he really gets hot, right? But yeah, there's not many, man.
Sorry, I'm hijacking your show here. I got too excited about D'Lo.
No, that's cool, bro. But see, the only difference between the two, I'd say, the major difference is the speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Nick Van Exel has the nickname Nick the Quick, right?
Yeah.
D'Lo is the slowest point guard in the league.
Yeah.
Which he totally embraces. He's I can't do it, so I have to be really crafty the way I dribble and I fake and all that stuff, which he's incredible for. But he's definitely not quick in any way.
He's not.
Form.
He's
release
smooth.
He's
smooth. Yeah, because he doesn't need a jump.
Yeah, at all. He's got a 2-inch vertical.
It's enough. This year, it's enough.
But that brings me to the next thing where Jalen Hood Scafino looks like he's done for the year. He just said the Lakers sent out a message on Twitter yesterday saying that he had some weird surgery that I have no idea what the hell it is. I gotta find it, and I'll probably butcher saying it. Successful lumbar microdichotomy procedure. I don't know what the hell
let me
is.
find it here. What? Oh, microdiscectomy.
Okay, yeah, dichotomy. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't have that many thoughts on that.
It's just another thing.
Yeah,
right? Christian Wood was the one before that, and he's basically done for the year. So you got Wood done. You got the rookie who barely saw the floor anyway, but it just kills your depth a little bit. And then, like, how we were talking on your pod, Gabe Vincent and Vando still up in the air whether or not they're coming back. Some people are saying they're done, and others are saying, oh, well, they're on court work and they could be playing any day now, right? So it's like you just don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
It's just injuries galore again.
And it always is. It always is. You and I were talking about that off air also. It's always something. There was like, and Gabe Vincent was out during this, but there was that brief fleeting moment when Vando looked like Vando, and you were like, oh, I guess like this team's probably healthy enough to do some stuff, and then bam, down he went again. But you're right, it's one thing after the other. Christian Wood going down has forced more minutes on Jackson Hayes, who, he's been fine in his time out there, but it just, again, it removes some of that flexibility. If you want a little more offense on the court, you go to Wood. If you wanted to sort of play two big men at the same time, Wood made that a little bit more achievable because he can space the floor in a way that Hayes cannot. And then, honestly, like, if Jarred Vanderbilt is the one, right? It almost doesn't matter what happens with these other guys. If you could get Vanderbilt back, you could put him on good wing scorers, and it changes everything. He's jumping passing lanes. I was like thinking about some of the Minnesota games when Vanderbilt is healthy versus Vanderbilt is not, and like Anthony Edwards shooting 4 for 19 instead of like 16 for 19 with Torrey and Prince chasing him around. And like the drop off there is so severe, and like it does feel a little bit apologist and excusey and all that stuff, but when a team legitimately has no other plus defenders besides Anthony Davis, having even one other one is such a massive, massive difference in those lineups to just like any one guy that can keep a defender or keep an offensive player in front of them changes everything about what they can do on defense. And so right now you're seeing kind of the flip side of that, which is like they got to go all offense all the time because they know they're not going to stop anyone. They have to kind of get a little bit lucky on D put up $130 and win $130 to $120, which, they were able to do against a Hawks team, blew them out without Trae Young. But like you go up against the Kings, you get smoked because nobody's stopping Fox, nobody's stopping Monk, nobody's stopping Sabonis because Anthony Davis can't deal with him. And then like
crazy still.
The matchup against the Warriors wasn't bad until Anthony Davis went down because they're slower. But like you play a fast team and the Lakers are cooked these days without Vincent and Vanderbilt, and it's tough. And I like as a Laker fan, forget the fantasy side for me. As a Laker fan, I try to remain optimistic that we'll see one of those two guys back or both, but we're running out of time. We're low on time now.
Optimism as a Lakers fan right now is very difficult.
Well, I have a 7-year-old who I'm trying to convince to become Laker and Dodger fan, so I can't be the dad that's well, here we go again.
Dodgers will not be difficult right now.
Yeah, they'll win a few.
Yeah, but the Lakers is going to be a struggle. You might want to wait till the summer to see what happens.
I can't do another weird Lakers summer.
It's going to be really weird, man. I think we're going to know pretty quick, though, because LeBron has to make the decision by my birthday, ironically, which is June 29th. Decide to opt out or not.
He'll be back.
Probably. Unless this goes really bad in the last 13 games into the play-in or whatever, and they just look awful. Because the way the narrative shifts in the NBA now, it's like one day to the next. It's not 1 month to the next, right? It's like everything is doom and gloom one day. The next day it's like sunny skies, right? Like everything's promising. The future looks bright. It's like I told you, like the Jekyll and Hyde stuff, man. It's just all season long. It's
dude,
back and forth. It's like you're on a seesaw,
Ryan, you and I could have a deep existential chat on a podcast about how no one on the planet has the ability to have a long view of anything anymore. And it's the Lakers are a shimmering sports example of that exact thought. I worked in baseball for a really long time where you have to have a long view because you play 1,000 games a year. I think I'm getting that number right. Maybe it's 2,000. So any individual game doesn't matter. No one cares about one game in baseball. basketball,
double what the Lakers are
like,
was it 162 still?
Yeah, it's still 162. But basketball, it's that same kind of thing. You shouldn't care that much about any individual game, but for the Lakers and certainly the fan base and like, no, we can't help ourselves. It is that Jekyll and Hyde. And part of it's because they look so good one day and so horrendous the next. If there was, the funny thing too is in the end of it all, they're like the most middling team in the NBA, but it's how you get there, you know? Like, if they were just okay every night, I don't feel like we'd have this reaction, but it's like, wow, they just throttled 2-3 really good teams in a row, and then, oh, what?
Well, like, it's also the way the games are commentated and the way people hype things up, and
true,
at a moment's notice, right? It's like the start of the game, like I said, doom and gloom, and then they go on a run, and it's like, oh, we could beat anybody, right? It's just weird. It's just weird, like highs and lows. It's like I can't do, because our generation is completely different, right? Because I'm the same age as you, right? So when we grew up, it was like we had a little bit of patience, right? We realized one loss is not the end of the world, and one win is not the NBA championship. Whereas today, it's just super highs and lows. It's like, I don't know if you've ever heard that software playback or the app playback, where you can watch with the fans. You can watch a game and like commentate as
that must be insane.
Oh, it's crazy. It's the highs and lows on those comments are just out of control.
Like minute to minute, I assume there,
Austin
right?
Reeves, oh yeah, Austin Reeves can hit 2 in a row, and oh my God, we can't trade Austin Reeves. 10 minutes later, he could miss 3 in a row. Get this guy out of town! Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't deal with it.
But doesn't it sort of remind you in the moment of like why sports sells the way it does?
Yeah,
people hang on every moment. It's like it's amazing the power, the connectivity that it creates with a fan base. And obviously the Lakers are sort of like a click above others in that type of thing. Hey, and for Laker fans, if it makes you all feel any better, like the Kings lost to the Wizards, so it happens.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That is a terrible. Yeah, but you know what though? The Lakers almost lost to the Wizards. They took them into overtime.
I know that was rough. Oops.
I was like, oh my God, that was the perfect example of like one drastic high to a low, because they just beat somebody really good. I think it was Milwaukee, and then they played Washington the next night, and they take them into overtime. I'm like, oh my God, say what you want about back-to-backs and stuff, but this is the Wizards.
Yeah,
they've won like 11 games all season long, 11 or 12 games.
I think
like
one.
The worst in the league.
I believe the Wizards, prior to beating the Kings last night, had one win against an above 500 team in 2024.
Jeez,
oops.
That's so
yeah,
bad.
but hey, they got him. Lakers got him. Took an extra 5 minutes, but they got him.
Yeah, I guess.
See, I'm a pragmatic optimist. That's where I sit on a lot of this stuff. I could probably be more irate, but like, what good would it do? I have a limited amount of energy.
Yeah. I think that's the difference, the generational difference, right? Like we realize nothing positive comes out of losing your friggin' mind every day, right? Like you just like sit back and say, no big deal. There's another game tomorrow or the day after or whatever. Like,
yeah, enjoy it.
Back. Like, yeah, exactly. But I think it's that instant results thing. Like they need results now. It has to be now.
Right, and then the world feeds into it too with the constant coverage and listen.
Yeah.
Like I don't want this to turn into like Dan bashing commentary hour, but like he does it from time to time. John Ireland on the broadcast sounds like the sky is falling, and that can also steer the way people feel about it. He also kind of rides the highs and lows a little bit. I don't want to, again, I don't want this to be bashing hour on anything, but like if the guy doing the game is telling the game like it's the worst day of his life, people are going to feel that. And I think you have to, like the people covering the team, etc., we all have to really be mellow. And I actually think that the Lakers beat space, you guys do a wonderful job of this, of keeping things on that even keel. And then it's sort of like the things around that create this big high, big low, and that big bubble that can pop every other day. But hey, you know what? It's sports, like I said, and like you just said, we have a limited amount of energy in a given day, and I would prefer to preserve mine for something besides yelling about a basketball game.
There is getting frustrated, and then there's getting frustrated about something that's important, right?
Yeah.
And it's,
but also
even
keep
though,
watching because it's fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're doing this, podcast because we love sports, right? We love sports,
Yeah.
we love basketball, and that goes to a certain level, but then where it affects your like mental health or like your physical health, that's a whole nother line, man. Like it's like Robert De Niro in that what's it with that movie with Bradley Cooper, and he's like sitting in a certain seat because
Silver Linings Playbook, right?
Yeah. He's all paranoid because he's sitting in. The Eagles they didn't score, so I got to change seats or something. Like that's insane.
You're describing a lot. I think you're describing a lot of our viewers and listeners right now. So be careful,
man. You don't have to do that, people. Don't do that.
So
okay.
I will give my one example from my own personal life of when I felt this happen. It was a Dodgers playoff game. I'm trying to think of what year it was. I don't remember. It was something incredibly stressful. I think it might have been one of the years they made the World Series and didn't win.
Boston, where it's like a 5-hour game or whatever. It went in a.
Oh, but they won that one.
Maybe it was the one.
Maybe it was the one after that because they won the really long one, and it was like, oh, they're getting a little bit of the momentum back. Either way, all I know is I was like gripping my couch, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't healthy. I gotta probably stop this.
You know what though? At that point where it's like there's a championship on the line, that's different.
Thank you for letting me off the hook. I appreciate that.
No, yeah, that's because there's meaning to it, right? There's actual. If you lose this game, you could be done, right?
Yeah, but it ended, and then I like didn't want to talk to my family for a couple hours. It's like this probably was a little. This probably was a bit off far.
At least it was a couple hours and not a couple days.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
A good reset overnight usually does the trick for me. I rarely wake up the next morning being like, why couldn't LeBron guarded that guy? Like that, yeah. I might feel that way for like a few minutes after a game is over. Like, why wasn't D'Lo in at the end of that ball game? And then the next morning I wake up and it's like, doop, brand new day. Good old brain reset.
Well, I had that recently with Liverpool because I'm a big Liverpool fan. That's where my whole family's from. They lost to Man United, and I think it was the FA Cup.
This is going to go way over my head, by the way. I know who these teams are, but I don't follow.
It was a big game, and Liverpool is they're in contention to win the league this year. But they have all these tournaments on the side, right? The FA Cup is kind of a big one, and Man U is their biggest rival, and they lost in the last like 5 minutes.
Oh, brutal!
And I was pissed. I was so pissed because it's the last season for the manager, Jurgen Klopp. So it's like everybody wants him to win everything, right? Just to send him out to, like he's the greatest Liverpool manager ever. But I was legit pissed. And I sat back and I was like, man, it's the first time I felt this way in a while.
It's good, though. You felt like a young man again.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But I mean, it's not the end of the world because they still have the league to win and all that. So it's like, the equivalent would be like, the Lakers losing the in-season tournament or whatever. Or what are they calling it now? Didn't they change the name?
The NBA Cup? Is that it or no?
Yeah. If that's it, I like that better.
I don't know.
In-season tournament.
I thought it was fun.
Rigid. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, I thought it was different. I think a lot of fans need to adjust to that kind of thing. Like, it's okay. Like, I heard somebody say that that's part of the reason why the Lakers aren't so good right now. It's because they put so much energy into that. I'm like, it was 6 games.
Yeah, I think that
playoff series.
I think that could be considered true for like the week after, where there was maybe a little bit of a Vegas hangover kind of thing. But we're in March now, so probably not.
Give me a break. Like,
that was
the emotion of that.
Wasn't that November? November, early December.
That's the only thing I didn't like about it. It's like a little too early. Like,
right.
Mid-season. Don't do it right when you get into the year and nobody knows who's good, who's not.
Yeah, we didn't have any idea what was going on either. It was it hit us like a freight train. Like, wait, we're doing what now? This Tuesday game is different somehow. It's Tuesday though. I don't follow.
With the different floors and stuff. The floors are kind of funky.
They were crazy. I get it though. Like, it's an sale, like it's a marketing thing. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Make $1, whatever you need to do. It's fine. Do your thing.
For sure.
I will never be the fun police. That will be one thing that I've always promised myself is I'll never be the fun police with sports. If somebody wants to just try something, try it out.
Yeah.
I don't care. Do it. See how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, it works for international soccer, man. I know it's a completely different game, but it works. Like the Champions League, I love watching the Champions League every year. And that's like the best teams in Europe all in a tournament facing each other until they get to the
awesome.
end. So it's a big deal, like, whoever wins that, which is usually the same, like 5 teams every few years, right? It's like just revolves because they got the most money and they get the best players or whatever. But I could see the NBA turning into that. And then maybe, they start competing with Europe or something like that happens. I'll bet you that's where they're angling. They want some kind of bridge for the international game to kind of go on top. Because if you think about it now, the best players in the league, top 5, I'd say 80% are international players.
Yeah, a lot. There should be more
like
of that
Luka,
international stuff.
Giannis, Jokic,
Embiid, technically.
Embiid. There you go. There's 4 right there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who you would put 5 is probably up in the air, but it's being dominated by international players.
Yeah. I love it.
It's cool. I think it's different.
I'm with you.
I love all those guys. Yeah. But so they play the 76ers tomorrow, and the last time they played them, they got beat by 44 points, which is pretty awful. I think Embiid just put on a show, but he's not playing tomorrow. So it could be a different thing. And what's crazy is I didn't realize how far Philly had fallen in the standings since Embiid has been out. I think they were 3 behind Milwaukee and Boston for pretty much most of the season. Embiid goes out, and now they're in the play-in.
Yeah, rough.
I'm like, whoa, that's brutal, dude. Which it's good for the Lakers, though, because I think that definitely gives them a better chance of winning. As long as they can contain Maxey, make sure he doesn't go insane. But what do you think about tomorrow's game? Do you think they come out with a win?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna say yes. I think they know the Lakers. I think know this is a game that they kind of have to win. Their schedule lightens up a bit. They went through that insane stretch. It's not like an easy schedule. They still got the Bucks left. They still got I don't know
Minnesota.
I don't know who's gonna be healthy for the Cavs by the time that game comes around. Warriors are in there, and then you get into kind of like everybody rests games near the very end. But like it's certainly easier now than it was 2 weeks ago when it was like Nuggets, Thunder, Kings twice,
brutal.
Bucks, Wolves. That was Warriors a couple times, I think, in there.
Okay, I think. I mean,
yeah.
They didn't do great, but they beat teams that I didn't think they would beat.
Oh, 100%. And the Wolves beat the Wolves. Yeah. No, I'm totally with you on that. So, one of the little worries would be like, is there any kind of hangover coming out? But I think you're so close to the end of the season now that you don't get those kind of dog days, like one game bleeds into the next. There's an energy lull type of stuff. I don't know how the hell they contain Maxey because they don't have the personnel to do it. So they're probably just going to have to outscore him. If I'm the Lakers, I think I probably am more concerned with stopping everybody else because knowing they're not really going to be able to deal with Maxey, keep him away from the bucket. They'll do that same thing they always do, or funnel him into Anthony Davis. One of those two choices is going to have to be the coin flip on any given night. And then, as long as you don't get a 27-point game out of Kelly Oubre,
or like Tobias Harris,
right? Like I think he's questionable. I don't even know if he's going in this one.
Oh no.
So, Laker fans, you can hope he misses one more ball game or something. But just from like a straight offensive talent standpoint, this is a game they very much should win. But I'm sure it'll be complicated because they all are.
It's always complicated.
Maxey's going to have 30. I feel pretty confident that Maxey's going to have 30 because,
oh, yeah. That kid is a stud.
He's a stud, and who the hell on the Lakers is going to slow him down?
Nobody. I mean, I don't even – they probably put Reeves on him.
Yeah, God help you.
Probably likely get cooked.
He's going to get cooked. Maxey's so fast because D'Lo's not going to be able to keep up.
What do you think the line is? What do you think the spread is?
All right, I haven't looked at this, so this is a full-on guess on my side. But home court is about 3.5 points in the NBA. I'm guessing the Lakers have Philly. Sorry, I worked in sports betting for a little bit, so I hope I'm close on this. Lakers on a neutral site are probably like a 4 to 6 point favorite. So I would say somewhere in the 7 to 9 range on the game tonight.
Wow, not bad. 7.5.
There we go. Okay. I
It
still got it, baby.
Opened at 8.5, and now it's 7.5. But
I don't like that.
That's
like
more than I thought. I would have guessed 3 or 4.
Yeah, and you'd be right on a neutral site, though. So you'd be right on without the home court kicked in, basically.
Well, the Lakers actually play pretty well at home. I mean, they've only got 12 losses all year. Which is, I think I saw something somewhere that they have more. They're the 4th most wins at home this year, or something like the 3rd or 4th. Which I was like, whoa, seriously?
Yeah, it's like, wait, something's gone well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've been horrible, absolutely horrible on the road. What are they? They're 12-20 on the road right now, and they do. I think they have a road heavy end to the schedule after this one. So that's
what I was going to say. There's a stretch where there's 6 straight games on the road, and that's probably where they could struggle because it starts with the Bucks, Grizzlies, Pacers, Nets, Raptors, Wizards. And obviously, there's some layups there, right? Like the Wizards,
Raptors.
The Raptors, the Nets, the Grizzlies. But then again, with this team, it's just like they play down to the competition so often.
Yeah, every time.
It's like they give the other team a chance regardless. Like it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And so they play the Pacers after tomorrow's game too. So those will be 2 tough games.
Then they have like 2 or 3 home games left after that the rest of the year. It's very road heavy. So they better figure that crap out quick or Houston's coming for you right now.
Well, there's 3 tough home games too. It's Cavaliers, Minnesota, and Golden State all in a row. And then the last 2 games is at Grizzlies, at Pelicans, which nobody will be playing.
Yeah, we have no idea who's going to be in for those.
Unless they have to win to secure a spot in the play-in.
Right.
Which hopefully doesn't get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, pragmatic optimist, but there's the pragmatist is still part of that. I think the Lakers will be in okay play-in shape at that point. I also think Houston probably slows down here in the not too distant future. They're kind of on a little bit of like a post Şengün injury bump where they're playing better. They've also had a kind of a lighter schedule, but you'll see. I think reality will catch up with the Rockets a tad when their schedule gets tougher. Warriors are playing all right, so we'll see.
They have won 7 in a row.
Yeah,
9 of their last 10.
But I think like 5 of those are against tanking teams, if I'm remembering right. So not to take too much away from the Rockets, they're obviously playing better right now. But they've
literally the hottest team in the league, along with Boston. Boston's got 7 wins straight too.
Yeah, Boston. I don't think we can even call them hot anymore. That's just what they do this year. They just win 7 in a row. Anytime they don't win 7 in a row, that's crazy. They're at 80. They're at an 80% clip this year.
Do you buy it? Do you think that's going to carry over?
Yeah, I think they make the finals this year. The personnel there is like perfectly matched this season. The guys they went and got in the offseason was absolutely brilliant. Porzingis to get a little bit of offense out of the center spot who can actually protect the rim. And then Drew Holiday, who's perennially one of the most underrated stars in the NBA. And now they have defense. Yeah. They have defense at all 5 positions and offense at all 5 positions. Nobody, like the closest thing you get to that obviously is Denver on the other side. And that'll, I don't know. To me, it feels like Denver is a cut above everybody in the West, and Boston's a cut above everybody in the East. And I know playoffs can be weird sometimes, but if I'm betting on a finals matchup, I'm basically going chalk. I think at this point.
Yeah, well, I think the NBA tends to do that. Last year was the exception, right, with Miami, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that again. Sorry, Heat fans.
No, I don't think so either. But yeah, Boston and Denver sounds like the best matchup, the most entertaining matchup.
It'd be a good one.
I'd probably still say Denver will take it because of the experience, and their team basketball is incredible.
It's nuts. They're a machine.
Every guy, it's like they're. I think I've used this analogy before, but they're it's like a puzzle, and each piece just fits perfect. Like
Yep.
There's no missing piece. There's no piece that just barely fits or it doesn't fit. It's just like
100%.
Perfect.
When they went out and got
KCP, a team like that in a long time.
When they went and got KCP to be that last puzzle piece, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, Denver is just like moving some role players around." It was like, no, that's a critical cog for what that team needed. Aaron Gordon slotting in there. And then obviously having Michael Porter Jr. actually healthy is massive.
Yeah, and hitting shots.
They're not particularly deep, which is probably why they got off to kind of a slow start in the regular season this year. But
they were deeper last year.
Yeah,
with
Bruce Brown.
Brown, right?
Yeah. But I tend to agree with you. I think Denver wins that mostly because they get any shot they want late in a fourth quarter of like a slow down half court offense. Denver, is so terrifying. Although some of that is because like a lot of the Denver games I watch are against the Lakers, and they just rip the Lakers apart in the fourth quarter every time. How many times in a row?
Last game,
oh my God!
I actually thought the Lakers were going to pull that off, or at least.
But it was the same thing again. It was a 3-point game with 3 minutes to go, and then boom, Denver up 10 in the last 2 to 3 minutes every single time.
Denver has that ability to just flip the switch, and the Lakers don't.
They don't.
They can't. Like the Lakers did it once against the Clippers, and I think they haven't done it since.
Right. Well, because
that same kind of thing.
The half-court offense for the Lakers late in ball games often devolves into LeBron running the clock to 11 and then one screen.
4 guys watching one guy.
Yeah. And it's like if the one screen doesn't work to free him up, the play's just busted. Meanwhile, Denver, they get a switch quick.
That's what I thought was brilliant with that last game where Boston and Denver played. The way that both teams moved, I was like, okay, this is real basketball.
It's just faster.
This is how it's supposed to be played. Everyone's moving at all times. Everybody has a part to play, rather than just camping out on the perimeter and having one guy dribble into some ridiculous, like LeBron. If he can't get past somebody, he's doing a step back or whatever. It's like,
and that's the fourth quarter. That's the late fourth quarter stuff. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so
it's like live and die by this hero ball, and
but why? Why? Okay, so if you're gonna, and I don't really have a problem with LeBron running the offense in a fourth quarter. My problem is more that he doesn't get into anything until the shot clock's at like 11 or 12 on those possessions, which is like
too long.
It's if your first thing doesn't work, you're screwed. And late in the ball game, everybody's legs are a little tired. LeBron in particular, because dude's old. Like, get the ball into the front court quick. Set up your play, run it at 18, run it at 17. So if the first action doesn't work, you have time to get into your other stuff. That's what Denver did a great job of in that last. I was at that ball game. I happened to go to 2 Laker games in a row for like the first time in my life. And the Denver one, that was the huge difference late in that game. Was Denver was like quick into their offense late. Murray Jokic pick and roll fast right out of the chute. Lakers can try to fight around it, but you're not getting around Jokic. So ultimately, there's a switch. And one of those two guys exploits a mismatch, and there's still like 9-10 seconds on the shot clock. And I kept looking up at it like, oh my God, it feels like this play's been going on forever. Oh no, there's still 7 seconds left. Something bad's about to happen, and then wham, something bad happens. Lakers come back the other way. They're running a similar play. LeBron, somebody's screening for LeBron. Oftentimes it's Reeves late in a game. They want to get a guard on LeBron so he can power through him. But it's happening at like 12 instead of 17. So then he's backing a guard down, backing him down 4-5 seconds on the shot clock. If they bring a double at that point, there isn't much time to kick it out. If he's doing it himself, he's doing it in traffic. And you run out of time to get a good shot, which, again, against a lot of teams, you can do it. But against a team like Denver that just comes back and drills you those last 3 or 4 minutes, it's just not going to be good enough. But anyway, looping it all around, I actually do think they beat the Sixers. So it's clowning on the Lakers for the last 5 minutes. I do think they win.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Sorry, I derailed us.
No, that spread's a little too high. I think it's going to come down to the wire.
Sadly, I think you're probably right. I think it'll be relatively close. Although Jekyll and Hyde, maybe they do what they did to Atlanta and just blast them with offense over and over again.
They need that. I thought that Atlanta game was something they really needed, because I can't remember the last time that they destroyed a team like that.
Well, they were just open on every shot. It was like Atlanta's defense.
Atlanta's terrible too. I mean, they're just
the defense was pathetic. Hawks defense.
So I thought when Quinn Snyder went there that whole thing was going to change, but it hasn't done anything.
Yeah, no, I don't. The personnel they needed to blow it up.
It's a player problem.
Yeah,
totally. Like, and that's why they're trying to get rid of Murray. I thought the Lakers were going to get Murray. That didn't happen. But
are we too attached to Austin Reeves? And I don't mean to take, like, I know the show's probably needs to end soon, but are we too attached to Austin Reeves? Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see in the summer because that narrative can change real quick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, fair.
Right?
It depends who you get. Good point.
Yeah, say like because I mean, giving up Reeves for Murray doesn't sound like too much of an improvement, right? But if you give up Reeves for Trae Young, that's a different conversation.
Good point.
Because
the
chances of being successful obviously totally improve with Young opposed to Murray. Giving up Reeves, Reeves is a great easy. The thing is, the Lakers always have these guys, right? These homegrown guys that they bring in through the draft, who everybody falls in love with, but always end up getting traded.
Yeah,
right?
You got to go for the next. Yeah, I don't.
They get traded or they sign somewhere else, right? Like Alex Caruso is a perfect example.
Oh, none of us are ever going to get over that one.
Larry Nance Jr., Josh Hart, like tons of these guys that just play their hearts out, and then they just get shipped off, because they got value. That's the Laker way. Unfortunately, it's like always look for bigger and better. We don't care how much you're loved. Maybe you come back like D'Lo in the future, but
yeah, we'll never get over the Caruso one. That was
definitely not. Definitely not.
That's worst.
I thought he might be coming back too, but
seriously, Chicago.
I don't know what the hell they're doing anymore.
Bulls, what are you doing?
Like the dumbest franchise. They haven't done anything since Jordan left, right? They
I want to cry
put
about
this
Chicago.
Team together. What's a bunch of talented guys, right? Like DeRozan, Levine, Caruso, Kobe White's to become a guy, right? Like, but Vucevic, but they can't do shit.
They could have gotten so much. They could have gotten so many assets for DeRozan and Caruso.
Just blew it up, man.
And I would have, as a Laker fan, I would have paid those assets. I'd have given up almost anything to get Caruso back, to get an actual on-ball defender on this team who became a great three-point shooter this year. Oh, yeah. I'd have paid through the nose. I don't care what it cost. Take anything.
Well, and you can't get those guys easy anymore, right? Those guys the effort guys.
True 3-and-D. True.
Yeah. Like you just they don't come very often.
No, because most of those guys do the defense part for like 2 or 3 years, and then their bodies break down because it's so damn hard right now.
But the Lakers always end up trading them. Those guys that just play their hearts out always get traded in LA.
Yeah. Well, let's go get a win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we should wrap this up, shouldn't we?
Yeah, this is my fault. I monologue a lot, so my apologies.
No worries.
But I love being a guest on things because then I can just like crack off whatever nonsense, and it's your job to try to keep me on the tracks.
This is my first experience doing that. So
it'll be so much easier with anybody who's not a complete lunatic. So I'd
rather have you talking more than not talking at all. That's when it gets difficult.
Oh, thanks, appreciate that.
But thanks for coming on, Dan. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that we connected here through Believe, and again, you're somebody that I've been following for a long time, so it's really cool for us to do this sort of back and forth cross promo pod thing today.
Yeah, we definitely got to make a thing of this, man. Maybe once or a month or every other month.
Done. Book it.
All right, down for that. Well, until next time, Lakers fans. See you later.